Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to talk in this short Torah lesson about this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha is Ki Teyze. And I'm going to talk about what we learn from this Parsha regarding the month of Elul. As we all know, Elul is the month before Rosh Hashanah. The month of Elul began, the first day of Elul was last Friday. We have a period of 40 days from the beginning of Elul till Yom Kippur. So we can learn something from this Parsha about how we can approach Elul and how we can try to improve ourselves. Unfortunately, today I was listening to the news about the horrific Hurricane Laura. And one of the newscasters says, you have to get to higher ground. And I thought, that's exactly what we need to do in the month of Elul. We have to raise ourselves. We have to get to higher ground. We have to get to a higher level between ourselves and Hashem. Now, this particular Parsha of Ki Teyze has three different things that I'm going to talk about and see how that connects to the month of Elul and how they connect with each other. First of all, the Parsha begins, Ki Teyze lamilchama alayvecha, when you go out to war against your enemy. And Hashem gives the enemy over into your hand, you defeat your enemy, and so on. Then it talks about, what you have to do at that point. We know from the Meforshim that when it talks about oivecha, your enemy, that the biggest enemy that a Jew has is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is that impulse within us that wants us to do negative things. So keep that in mind for a moment, this battle against the Yetzer Hara. Then later in the Parsha, it says as follows, Ki sivne bayis chadash, when you build a new house, v'asisa makel lagagecha, and you should put a fence around your roof. In those days, and even today in some places, people used the roofs a lot. In the neighborhood that I live in, a lot of the Arab communities have flat roofs. And there's always a danger of somebody falling off the roof. So the Torah is commanding us to put a fence around your roof so nobody falls off. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, the third thing, and then we're going to connect all three of these things, hopefully, is the very end of the Parsha. It says, Zacharis asher asalecha Amalek, remember what Amalek did to you, b'derech tzeischem Mitzrayim, when you were leaving Egypt, asher karcha b'derech, he met you on the way, v'yazanev l'cha chanachashalim, he attacked all the weak ones. You were weak. So what are the connections with these things? Okay, we've talked about oivecha as meaning the Yetzer Hara. We have to and try to come to Rosh Hashanah, trying to get to the point where we have devekus with Hashem. As David Amalek said, King David said in the specific psalm that we have for this month, the David Hashem Ori, he says, Achashwalti meis Hashem. I have only one request of Hashem. What is that request? Shivti beveis Hashem kol yemei chayav. to sit in a God's house all the days of my life. What that means is to have devekus with Hashem, to be able to cleave to Hashem, not be a stranger to God. God is a part of your life. Kisiv nebais, when we go to building the new house, okay, the Torah is telling us you got to be careful not to protect other people. So the question is asked by the Nativot Shalom. This is kind of a strange way of saying it. Why does it choose putting up a fence on a flat roof to protect somebody from falling? There's so many examples that you could use. The Torah can tell us how we have to act to not injure somebody else. Torah could tell us about a bore. That's the Hebrew word for a hole in the ground. You shouldn't put a hole in the ground that somebody might fall in it. You shouldn't have your property damage somebody else's property. You shouldn't injure somebody else. Lots of things that can be told here. Why this particular thing? So the Nativot Shalom points out that what is the top part of the house? The top part of the house is the roof. That's the Rosh, the head of the house. We're coming into Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. So in order to come into Rosh Hashanah, we have to build a fence on our roof. We have to build a fence on those parts that might encourage us to do what is wrong. Last week's Parsha was Shoftim. It says, Shoftim v'shotrim titin lecha b'chol sharecha. You should appoint officers and guards and all of your judges and officers and guards and all of your gates. And what are the gates? The Nativot Shalom points out there are 7 gates in the head. You have your 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and your mouth. All of these things, one way or the other, can be used to do contrary to what Hashem wants you to do. And the contrary, they can be used for mitzvos. You could use your mouth, for example, to praise Hashem. You could use your mouth to express kindness to somebody, to express your gratefulness to Hashem and to other people. Or you could use your mouth for Lashon Hara. You could use your eyes to see the beauty in everybody else. Or you can be blinded by rage, by anger, and not recognize that with every human being, there's a holy neshama, a holy soul. So we learn these messages. This is for Rosh Hashanah. And what about Amalek? Looking at the words at the end of the parsha, it says Asher korcha baderech. That Amalek met you on the way. But the word korcha, the word kar in Hebrew also means cold, frozen. Hashem met us when we were cold in our actions, when we didn't have burning desire to do what Hashem wants us to do. The word Amalek, Ayin Mem Lamed Kuf, Ayin Mem Lamed Kuf, has the gematria, the numerical value, equal to the same word as Safek. Safek is doubt. What is the big job of Amalek? He wants us to have doubt in our abilities. He wants us to have doubt in our ability to fight against our oivecha, our enemies, against the Yetzer Hara, against the evil inclination. He wants us to have doubt in our self-esteem. He wants us to have doubt in our ability to be a good Jew. We need to conquer that doubt. Just we need to conquer Amalek, we need to conquer that doubt. We need to protect ourselves as we would protect ourselves from injuring somebody. We have to protect ourselves from injuring ourselves from a standpoint of our service to God. We have to learn to fight the true enemy, the enemy of the Yetzer Hara, of us wanting to do what is not right. As we go into the preparation for Rosh Hashanah, let us all have in mind that we're trying to reach a higher level. We're trying to reach high ground where it's safe, to try to become closer to Hashem. And if we do that, we'll be able to return to Hashem, because the name tshuva means to return to Hashem, have a relationship with God. I bless us all that we're able to do that. Thank you for listening. On behalf of the webyeshiva.org, I wish everybody a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.